Because do you see the similarity between Child Protective Services removing children and the judges removing children from their fathers? It has nothing to do with you not wanting to pay child support. It's the removal of children and the ostracizing of families that keeps the system making money off of your children. So there is no friction. There is no friction between those guys that we call fathers' rights, because it's not about fathers' rights, it's about the removal of children, and there is no friction between that group and the group whose children have been removed by social workers. The bottom line is they are removing children and they're making money from it, and we're all suffering behind it. And we've got to come together as one group, united with one voice, and that is, these children belong to us. There are two things that I did not mention when I spoke earlier, because I think they serve a contrast and they are just as equally as important, and it shows both sides of the fence, both the Child Protective Services and both the fathers. And that is, first I'd like to give recognition to two fathers who got on bicycles last Saturday on the 11th of August at the Capitol in Lansing, Michigan. I was there to see them off. And they rode in here in Washington, D.C. on those same bicycles after having flat tires and broken rims and heat strokes. They rode over 500 miles on bicycles to get here. And that's Robert McKenzie and Robert. Because I know I've gotten emails this past weekend that our children are in the system because social workers are lying on casework and judges won't, and we don't want this to turn into a father's rights rally, and it's not going to be a father's rights rally. This is family preservation. Now, these guys are extremely important in their children's lives. On the back wall is a quilt that Miss Gail Head stitched one by one. Of children that have died while under the care of the state, children that have been lost in the system and parental rights have been terminated, children that belong to fathers who have not been able to see their children because of the court system and the way the state makes money from keeping your children out of your house, and the state knows better than you. These are our children. This is our DNA. It is up to us to raise our children. If there's a problem in our household, the state has the money to help us work those problems out. But we cannot allow them to continue to work the problems out by taking our children and giving them to strangers. It's just I'd like Gail here, raise your hand so everybody can see those hands that did the stitching. Now, all of you know me, because one of the things that I do, and I think it's strange, and it touches me when it happens, is I have Plaxo on my email. And Plaxo gives me the opportunity to ask for people's phone numbers, and they send them back to me, but I call people. I think there's a lot of people in this room that they answered the phone and it was me, and they had no idea I was going to call. And I may have talked to most, if not everybody in this room. I've talked to a lot of you on the telephone, and you've called me, and I listen to the problems, and I do what I can to help. I've got one grandmother in Grand Rapids, and she touches my heart, Sally Borghese. She and I traveled the state of Michigan court watching and working with families, and her granddaughter Rio has been caught in the system for the past 2 years. She raised Rio from 0 to 5, and she asked for assistance from CPS, and they were in the process of terminating parental rights, and they have given this child to strangers. And we were in the Court of Appeals a couple of weeks ago, and the judge's ruling was, I want you to hear this, because the child has bonded with the foster care parent, policy is not an issue. Policy was an issue when they removed the children, but Now the child is bonding with strangers, and to give the child back to the biological grandmother, policy is no longer an issue. I say policy has always been an issue, and the policy has to be that these children stay at home at all costs. We put the money back into the household. If there's a family that's having a problem, the dollars that they send with our children to be raised by strangers can be put back into the household, and we can straighten out any problem that there is. I know you all know that I'm a Christian. I will talk your ear off. So, I have a young man here who has instructions on the best way to get to the mall tomorrow. So would you come and tell them how to get there?